always remember holding that first public meeting I held at the Methodist Church. We got the main person from Shelter down, Sheila McKechnie, at the time, and she was a guest speaker, and a few of us spoke and just said, there's a problem with homelessness. What do we do? Is there anything we can do? And there was this groundswell of support. 300 people turned up, mainly from the churches, and just said, we all feel sort of impotent. None of us can do it by ourselves. We've all noticed it, but actually, it sounds like you're going to facilitate a process by which together we can do something. And I always felt that was perhaps one of the most powerful things, really.
It was quite noticeable how the homelessness issue had really become high profile in the city, and so quite a lot of people turned out to help with soup kitchens just once a week initially, but it was a start of something, and then as the Palace Gate project developed, it became clear that there probably needed to be something a little bit more organised to set the work into some more business-like context.
I remember very well walking down Sutton Hay and wondering what we were going to call this outfit, because I knew we had to have a limited company formed as a charity, and it had 4 potential strings to its bow. There was some Petrox and Turntable and Exeter Homes Committee and whatever the 4th one was.
I'm trying to think myself at the moment, but anyway, whatever it was, that's fine. Yeah. Yes.
And it came to me, we need an umbrella. So we called it Exeter Community Umbrella, and I proceeded to form this company.
It was all very new and very exciting, particularly when you saw things like the turntable being set up, and realised that was a threefold thing. It was stopping people throwing white goods and things in the countryside because they weren't readily recyclable, getting jobs for people to help repair them and make sure that they were all okay, and then they were available for people who hadn't got. And I thought that was such an exciting project, and that's gone from strength to strength.
Today, 20 years later, we're helping nearly 700 families, which is astonishing, still in modern times. But it grew very fast, very early, and it was delightful to see just how much the idea developed so positively, and how wonderful it was to see many families, some of them in desperate straits, where we were able to help.
The priorities were families, and we were helping people who wanted to start families. We reckoned that probably there would be something, we'd be able to house about 25 people a year. And in fact, we managed to house, in the first 4 years, we managed to house over 500 people. And the numbers approaching us, initially, when we're talking about people whom the City Council didn't find it possible to help for whatever official reason. But we were approached by over 100 people each year.
Petrox were one of the first projects that ECI developed 20 years ago.
It was St Petrox, I think, that I was really involved with from the beginning. Probably invited to attend as I had a medical background, and one of the things that they realised was very necessary was some nursing care, mental health, general nursing, particularly foot care and chiropody, was very necessary for these people because some of them weren't very acceptable at doctors' surgeries.
And we see 50, 60 people a day So if they weren't inside, particularly on a cold, rainy day like today, then they'd be outside facing the elements. And it was a focused time when you could actually do some work. There's only so much work you could do on the streets with someone. It's not a safe environment, whereas inside, you know, we've got nurses, we've got trained housing workers, and food and warmth and, you know, those basic survival elements that you can't get elsewhere.
I like the kind of inclusive approach that it had, with a value-based approach to supporting people who were experiencing tough times in their lives. And I think the fact that it was local and had local commitment and involvement of people, and that it was about trying to fill the gaps rather than duplicate the work of other charities and organisations, and it seemed to be based on a kind of really partnership approach to working with people and supporting people through tough times and helping them develop their potential.
I think it's making a tremendous difference. I mean, I can't keep up with all the things you're doing, and particularly all the things you're doing for young parents and children and, the lot. And I think that's probably, you're doing something we'd never thought of at all. We were just looking at one group of people that had problems, but you're looking at it right from the very beginning when they're children, and helping with the parenting and the upbringing of children, which is the next generation, isn't it?
I mean, I know from my own experience, I think, of being human, that, you know, we all have potential, but sometimes things, maybe traumas in our lives, kind of, you know, tough moments in our lives prevent us from fulfilling that potential. And along the way, we need people to support us on that journey. And I think it's one of the ironies of life that often people who have the toughest time in life are least able to draw on a kind of network of connections of friends and family. Perhaps they're dislocated from their family, if they're homeless, they may have been inside, spent time in prison. All of that can cut them off from their connections and support networks. And actually, I think that's where ECI can come in, can provide the kind of support, someone alongside you to help get you through those tough times in life.
I chaired the Charity Commission for 6 years, which is the national regulator for all charities in England and Wales. And one of the things that I learned during those years is that far too often new charities are set up rather than trying to develop or building on existing local organisations. And I think one of the things that ECI was so clever at was being able to diversify into new activities without necessarily setting up different organisational forms which themselves need new and their own dedicated back of office functions, etc., etc. So more and more, you know, we were trying to get, as the national body, charities to work more together, and yet ECI have already developed the model, which is you don't have to set up completely different organisations. You can do it through a local umbrella organisation, and it may be that some of the work that you develop does become standalone, but it may be that it remains as a project of the ECI, and I think having that flexibility is just a brilliant model, and more of them nationally would be a really good thing.